Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Facebook. This is Laura from Healing with Spirit, and coming to you Wednesday, February 10th. I am losing track of days. I don't know about you. But anyway, I feel like I'm about to lose my marbles. The energies this week have been very, I want to say, bipolarish. So let's start off. Let me just show you the cards for the day. Okay, so this is the card for the day, the worry card, as well as, and that basically is addressing that, well, from my Japanese teachings, we talk about, how worry is just like the cancer. It's the lower vibration. It doesn't change anything, and it actually weakens your immune system. So, that's where we go, Kyodaki wa karura shinpai suna, kanchaste gyo hagame etoni shinsatsuni. So I do have a book coming out once I get finished with dealing with my father's estate and all the chaos that surrounds that, because that's wiping my ass out. I'm hoping to get back to get the second round of edits done so I could get the book published. If any of you know of a good book cover designer that could help with the layout of the book, that would be great, because I'm going to be seeking that. All right. The second card that I wanted just to amplify, because people can misperceive worry in so many different ways. And when we also have the card for the week was surrender to setting limits. That was the card for the week. So check Monday's Facebook Live if you missed that to listen to that as well. So that nothing is sexier than listening to your authentic truth, right? To being that. So I want to first remind, before I go also into it, is that, please put in the comments, first check in, let me know where you're at. In March, we're going to change things up. Originally, we were going to do Monday and Wednesday evening on Facebook, and then Friday on Zoom. And the Zooms, by the way, are a little bit different than what you're getting here, because this really is more of a interaction, almost like a group coaching session, because it's very interactive and it's very much circle driven. So I highly encourage you to join us there. And they are usually, depending on how many people show up, between 45 minutes long to an hour. And it's done weekly. And right now I'm doing it for like next to nothing. Before I charge, the rates will go up probably later on this year. So please take advantage of that if you're getting benefit out of these. So I just had to say that. So I was thinking about swapping to keep the continuity of the Mornings with Laura on Monday and Fridays on Facebook, and then make the Zooms on Wednesday evening. So please check in the comments and let me know if you think that might be a better solution, because I do know we had a drop and some folks have been saying that they couldn't go until in the evening, and I want to make sure that I'm not being exclusive. I want to be inclusive, okay? And I want to make sure that we are also diverse. And that's the other thing the Zooms are going to be offering, is that diversity in bringing in people from other groups, okay? So the worry is, how many of you have been feeling the worry? I know the anxiety this week with the space weather that happened, with this type of space weather that happens. I noticed that, since I've been studying it over the last 5 or 6 years, can trigger a lot of like things like anxiety, insomnia, fear, anger, like really kind of heighten those insecurity type things, okay, that are within us. And it was called a CME, a coronal mass ejection. So, and that means it's high in radiation. And so when that happens, I know physically over the last few years, that triggers like one type of thing. And it almost is like this fatigue, like somebody just slapped me upside the head and I can't get functioning here. Or for those who struggle with PTSD like I do, it can really trigger its ugly head. And you might even find yourself having some really irrational thoughts. Okay, that you know are irrational, but if you don't face them, then you can't change them. All right. Good morning, Joe. Nice to see you here. I'm glad that the comments are working today. So, and then what happens, that also triggered a ricochet, which then triggered a geomagnetic storm in the earth. And then it also shifted other types of energies within the earth's over the last 24 hours or so. So, and that could have made you feel like, okay, well, this day I was feeling this, or the next day you were kind of like, well, I'm kind of feeling like I was tired this day, and now I'm tired and wired, or now I'm wired, or now I got a lot of stuff done. So it really just depends on where you're at, where your healing journey is. If you've got certain compromised systems like autoimmune disorders, cardiovascular, or mental health like PTSD. PTSD is kind of not really a mental health issue, but it can trigger mental health issues, so like anxiety and depression. Good morning, Jennifer. So if you've been feeling those, then that could be related. Now, I was supposed to launch the empath class in January until my father died. So I'm trying to make sure I want to be able to bring it to you. So I am working with some folks right now that I'm hoping to launch it. Originally was going to be March, but I'm feeling more April. So, and it is going to be a 4-month course. So these are things that we go into, is how to work with the space weather. That's just one of the units. There's 8 units. So the space weather aspect is one of them. We go into the lifestyle, the diet, all those things. I'm not going to go into that today, but just so you know, if this calls to you and you want to learn more on how to work with the space weather, how to work with like the Schumann's resonance, how to work with all these influxes and how to identify it in your own body, then I would say definitely register for this course, because it's going to be very inclusive and it's very mind-body driven in there. Okay. I know I just went on a tangent this morning. So good morning, Alyssa, and good morning, Jennifer. And I also, for those of you who are looking, like the worry card reminds me of, like I said, I have the book coming out that's going into some of the Japanese concepts. Get down. I got my tea up here. I have my medicine. I don't know if you can see, but that's all raw chamomile sitting in there, seeping to be strained. And I also have my muesli sitting here waiting to be eaten, because I'm feeling the need to really bring in certain medicines. It's very interesting. So the things that I teach you in the private courses are things that I know, and it's teaching you how to listen to your own wisdom, but with the tools that I'm going to be teaching you. Okay. So the worry card goes into, like I said, with the Japanese teachings, I'm teaching Jikun and Reiki in Situate. We have 3 more spots available for anybody who's interested. And it's going into like how to take these and what does that mean from the Japanese. It's like a spiritual medicine. It's part of the spiritual medicine piece. All right. So it's Kyo Daki wa Shinpai Suna. Kyo Daki wa Shinpai Suna, which basically says, just for today, do not worry. And here's the thing, it gets broken and lost in translation. I go more into this in the Jikun and Reiki training, and I also go more into this I call it the 3 Ps, the power of the word, the power of the pause, and the power of processing, which will be free of charge for Patreon members as a gift for anybody who registers as a Patreon member before the end of the month. And you will be given that as a freebie. That's a value of almost $100. It's over $100 worth of classes right there that I'll be offering for free. So if you just become a Patreon member, if you like these and you do like to tip once in a while and make donations, for as little as $5 a month, you'll be able to qualify to attend that class. All right. So that is my gift to you. So now when we look at, there is nothing sexier than our own authentic truth. What was coming to mind to me, really, I sat in my grandmother's council last night, and I just got to read. There were some notes I was taking that kind of really solidified. And I'll just say in some of the grandmothers that I sit in with, by the way, one of them is a Mayan elder that we actually bring in out of Guatemala, that some of the people in the community that I'm a part of have been working with for 10, 12, 15 years. And others represent African nations and the Dagara lines, and others represent. So we had grandmothers from all over the world, pretty much, and also representative of the Native Americans, as well as Celtic and Scottish lineages. And the one thing that I kept hearing when people were bringing in the fire, right? Like, it really brought to mind this whole concept of what a lot of things we were seeing happen last night, that toxic positivity, right? Love and light, and everything is love and light, right? And you go, ew, right? Just be positive, right? And what came to mind, because a lot of the grandmothers were talking about, like, how do you deal with when you have this contrast happening, right? And contrasting views and things, and how do you differentiate good and bad, those type of things. Good morning, Monica. And some of them, just so I don't lose track of where I have, but some of them were talking about, like, the energies that get stirred up. And I kept correlating to, like, when we talk about triggers, right? And so in the other group that we're probably going to launch again this spring, which was trauma triggers and spiritual medicine, because I'm planning on making that also an exclusive Patreon thing for free, or by registration with a donation to go to whoever I bring in as a guest teacher for that. So, but talking about how when things get stirred up, like from we call her Nana Wilma, and she's out of Guatemala, and she's a fire keeper for the Mayan elders. She's a Mayan elder. Okay, so these people aren't like just foo-foo people. Okay, and they're not whitewashers. So she was talking about how, when things get stirred up during hard times, we have to run with the good and not necessarily focus. There's a difference between, because there's a fine line with just be positive, and spiritually bypassing, right? So this is about really taking the good, like, in the other class that I teach called Bless Your Junk, this is pretty much the paramount. It's taking that shit, and how can you find that shit or that trigger? We go in here, the triggers, that's a clue to the treasure map to show you where to go, right? And so, and other elders we're talking about, who are other fire keepers, we're talking about the fire and really sitting with that ugliness of that fire, right? So that's really the shadow work. It's sitting with your own uglies, right? And really making peace with it, making love with it. Because when you can do, then you can come and sit here and stoke the fire with me, right? And then another elder was talking about, which really hit home to me. Okay, it was like a big zinger, and she said that to take the COVID virus as the greatest elder of them all, to teach us humility, and what lessons have we learned to go forward. And if we don't learn the lesson, then we will repeat them, that this is a soul journey. So what kept coming to mind is, look, we've been doing these lives since March, almost a year, okay? Consistently, for the most part, 3 times a week we've been doing these. So if you've been following me, you've been seeing these patterns. And so to hear these grandmothers talk about things that we have been talking about, and I said, I just keep seeing patterns, right? Patterns. And then when this other elder was talking about the fire, because she teaches fire ceremony across the world, and she's talking about how when she can sit with her ugly, it's like sitting with, you see, a conflict stirred up in folks. It's the spirit of the fire. It's the gateway to the spirit world. And if we can own our own gross fire, where that crude oil is and where the sexual energies reside, then we can refine the crude oil and sublimate this gross fire. And if I don't know my own fire and sit with it and purify it and bring it back and reset it, then we're disconnected. So it's being able to honor that. And then others kind of chimed and chimed about very similar things. It's like letting the fire burn away all that crap. Pay attention to the breath when conflicting energies come in. And then others, and the last one talked about continuing to work on the self, right? So this is where this comes in. If worry is showing up, right? And the surrender to setting limits also talks into this, right? That this is really what came to mind was, yes, this whole light within. But it's the fire that transmutes. It's the fire that burns. It's the fire that resides. It's not just positive. What have we been doing in our meditations since we started this in March of 2020? It has been refining. We have been refining. We have been moving. And even in the meditations, we're bringing things in and into the fire of the belly to what? To transmute it, to call back our power, to make peace with the shadows. Okay? So this is where you're going to find the answers. This is all showing you where to find the answers, that we all have the tools and the wisdom within. Nana Woman was very clear that we're all wisdom keepers. The difference is between somebody that's younger and somebody that has lived a while and has done the work is experience and knowing how to tap into that wisdom with the life experience and has made peace with the shadows. Okay? So, wow, that was deep. Yeah, so feeling the fluctuation, hard to tell if it's hormonal or energy shifts. There's a lot. You got Mercury retrograde that's also really amplifying things. You got the Aquarian energies that's amplifying things. I like to say, if we're talking about the fire, and I'm not a fire expert, and I would not call myself a fire keeper per se. I guess we all are in our own sense, but not from where I see with my elders that I sit with on a monthly basis, is that the fire, it's like we're stoking the fire. We created a fire, but now we have Mercury that is stoking the fire. We have the space weather that's stoking the fire. We have our old traumas stoking the fire. We have our triggers stoking the fire. We have the chaos around us stoking the fire. We have COVID stoking the fire. We have, there's the amplifications on the earth's energies stoking the fire. Okay. So this is where I'm going to say to you, what have you been learning since you've been, especially those that have been here? I know if you're new on these, you're not going to understand this message. But for those of you who've been here, what have you been learning? What is the patterns? Based on what I just shared with you with our grandmothers, which was so powerful last night, what have you learned? Okay. And I'm hoping to bring some of them in when we do the trauma triggers, but it is going to be, so I highly encourage you to become a Patreon member. I'm going to be giving away a lot of freebies, but you have to be a Patreon member to get them for free. Okay. So, and you got to be a Patreon member registered by the end of the month in order for me to schedule and get them up and running as a thank you. So good morning, Alyssa. Yay, you made it. Yay. That was really deep. Yikes, but good, real good. Best advice I have gotten in months. Yay. I'm so glad to hear it. Okay. So, and the Jikin and Reiki training, since the Jikin and Reiki training is different than a lot of other Reiki trainings because it's deeply rooted, it's really out of Japan. My teacher's mother studied with one of the founders. It is not westernized. There are no chakras. There are no auras. There are no crystals. There are no Mother Mary. That's all westernized ideology that was added because we didn't understand a lot of things. Like Japanese culture. We didn't understand Japanese language, which is very difficult for Westerners. There was also this inherent systemic bias and oppression and racism, right? Which we're all learning about as white folks. So for Reiki to have made it where it has in our society, we had to palpate it for Western mindset. When you palpate it, you lose a lot of the magic. You lose a lot of the medicine that is offered, okay? So this whole thing about worry, we go into, and I also go into it. So if you're not sure if Jikin and Reiki is for you, whether in receiving it or learning it, then definitely read my book when it comes out because I go into, these are some of the things that have been approved that I can share through the Jikin and Reiki Institute that I'm allowed to share on how to heal the roots to chronic illness and trauma using these Japanese systems, which is basically using the gokai, and backed with science, backed with my journey, backed with my story, based on experience. It's all these interesting things, plus some of the teachings that are rooted in Shinto culture, okay, which is very palatable to Siberian shamanic healing or Celtic indigenous teachings or Native American. So it's the Japanese indigenous. And it basically goes, and we can start the meditation this way if you want. Get yourself centered, get yourself grounded. Check yourself, check your energy. Where are you on a scale of 1 to 10? And if you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, definitely check out the 7-day challenge in the unit section or in the topics section, because they're all labeled 7-day challenge, and you can find it there. Check your energy, check your balance, okay? And the gokai goes like this. Taking a breath in, and it's kyo dakiwa, ekado na, shinpai suna, kanchaste, go hagame, shitoni shinsatsu ni, kyo dakiwa, ekado na, shinpai suna, kanchaste, kyo hagame, shitoni shinsatsu ni, kyo dakiwa, ekado na, shinpai suna, kanchaste, kyo hagame, shitoni shinsatsu ni. Kyo dakiwa, ikado na, shinpai suna, kanchaste, kyo hagame, shitoni shinsatsu ni. And I feel like I gotta say it one more time because I feel like we really need it. Kyo dakiwa, ikado na, shinpai suna, kanchaste, kyo hagame, shitoni shinsatsu ni. Will I be doing another Jikken and Reiki this year as well? I am not sure. I will find out, but I only have 3 spots for the one in March, and it's in Situate. So there's a lot of things changing in my world, so I can't guarantee when or where, most likely. Usually there is a July class. It's just a matter of where the energies is so much happening that it is out of my control. So it's hard to say when and where when that will happen, Monica. So I'm sorry I can't give you a specific answer on that. All right, so take a breath in. And I want you to just be. Bring that breath. What are you calling in to your world? The opportunity for Mercury retrograde is for you to reflect, review, reset, reevaluate. The energies that we have been working with is about setting limits, surrendering the worry. If worry is showing up, it doesn't mean ignore it. It means, where is it residing within you? Where is it rooted? Bringing in that breath into the power center. Into that womb, your furnace. For those who identify as a male, that would be your prostate. Bringing that energy there and letting it sit, holding the energy there. And letting it vibrate out. Letting it seeking what needs to be seen that isn't seen. Allowing for you to feel maybe something that is repressed that you really need to feel. Allowing you to sense what needs to be sensed. Maybe you need to see something that you haven't been willing to see. Surrendering into the flow of the elements. Allowing the water year, the flowing of water, to just carry you to the place of the fire, the place that transmutes, the place that resides within. The fire glands in the womb space. The water is in your veins. The air is in your lungs. The earth is in your tissues. Breathing in the fire and allowing yourself to just receive all it is that you need to receive in the here and now. Allowing yourself to flow, focusing on the breath, breathing into that fire center, and then with the exhale breath, exhaling out through the hands and through the feet. Thanks to all that is, all that was, and all that shall be. Trusting that our souls and spirit have a greater wisdom than our own egoic minds. And trusting into that flow. Trusting into that wisdom. Thanks to the elementals, giving thanks to the four directions, giving thanks to our Great Mother for holding the space for us to come back and return to her in her mighty wisdom, and recognizing how we interact and relate to her other children. The trees, the animals, the dirt, the sun. It all, how we interact, is a reflection on how we honor and respect her and her wisdom. Giving thanks to the ancestors who have been here and guiding us along the way, showing us back to where we have lost our way and showing us back home. Taking that deep breath in the mouth and out through the feet, releasing, composting all that anxiety, all that stress, all that fear, and breathing it in through the fire to transmute, keeping what needs to be kept, and then breathing out through the feet and allowing our Great Mother to take that shit and compost it. Taking one more breath in, again, into the womb, and breathing out through the feet. In for 3, and out for 5. And when you're ready, you may open your eyes, move your hands, and move your feet. Please check in. Let me know where you're at. At the same time, check in and see with yourself. What is showing up with you? What resonated in today's broadcast? What did not resonate in today's broadcast? If you're liking today and you got benefit, please consider some reciprocity with making a donation. The links are in the description. Or you can also become a Patreon member. And you can just subscribe $5 a month just to partake as your monthly contribution for these Facebook Lives is fine with me too. Or you can up your membership and get access to, for free, the Zooms that we do on Fridays. But please let me know. We are thinking about alternating, keeping the Mornings with Laura Mondays and Fridays and moving the Wednesday evenings to Zoom. Okay? So let me know if that works for you. We're thinking about doing that beginning in March. So other than that, I will see you on Zoom. If you're not a Patreon member, you're going to have to register to join us. It is right now just as a sliding scale from $1. I know most have been doing $12.12 or $33, up there's a sliding scale. So please join us on Friday, where we get more of a interaction and community virtual gathering and circle, which there is magic in that cannot be explained here. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys Friday, if not sooner. Have a great day.